All right, everybody, welcome in. Welcome back to Trust the Board. Joey and Ryan with you, as always. And we have an incredibly special guest from SB Nation, behind the steel curtain, Ryland Bickley. Ryland, thank you for joining us, my friend, all the way from Oregon State University. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do. Tell the people who you are.
Yeah, so I am one of the editors at Behind the Steel Curtain, where I work with Joey and Ryan. We have a really good time there. The three of us handle most of the draft content there. And then if you are local to Oregon, the rare Steelers Oregon combo, I write for the Daily Barometer, which is Oregon State student newspaper. So yeah, if you care about football, basketball, baseball, any of that stuff with Oregon State, you can also read my stuff with that.
Hell yeah. I'll ask you one question before we get going. State of Oregon State football. Give it to me. How's it been recently? I know it's been a couple different coaching changes. What's going on there?
Oh gosh, it has been a horrible couple years. If you're a Beaver fan, we finally became like a halfway respectable football program under Jonathan Smith, and then just the entire rug slips out from under us. The new head coach, he was the former wide receivers coach at Alabama. I went to his press conference. He said all the right things, but it's hard to get a good football program going at Oregon State in the current state of college football. So we will find out this season, but my hopes are not very high.
Isn't Jonathan Smith already out at Michigan State too? Didn't he only last like 2 years?
Yeah,
So like
he
that's
should have
got to be
stayed.
like that's even worse. I feel like because it's like not only were you like getting respectable and he was like a fit for you guys, but then you watch him bail and he just crashes and burns so quickly, and he takes a quarterback with him. Like it's just it's an interesting time to be a college sports fan. RIP to the Pac-12.
So I went to WVU. I don't know if you know that, Ryland, but when I had the same kind of situation, student media, and whenever Rich Rodriguez got hired to come back and be the head coach at WVU,
What a time!
his inaugural press conference, I remember going there, and we got there like hours early because the Pat McAfee show it was in the basketball stadium, and they had the Pat McAfee show there, and it was like unreal. Like, you're 5 feet from Pat McAfee while he's doing his show, but it was just like it wasn't like an inspiring coaching hire whatsoever. But Pat McAfee's there and we're all hyping it up. Yeah, we're acting like everything's fine and everything's great. And then when Rich Rod gets up there and he starts talking, he says all the right things, whatever. But they had to like drag fans out of there because there were people there who just kept booing and wouldn't shut up. And like they were literally dragging these people out. So that's my inaugural press conference experience. You mentioned it, and I got flashbacks to that. That only happened like a little over a
Oh
year
my
ago.
gosh.
That was
Fitting that Pat McAfee was there, and it sounds like it felt more like a wrestling match than a traditional news conference.
yes. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a first round mock draft. We are, when you're seeing this, officially 1 week away from the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. I'm super excited to go personally, but we gave Ryland the option. He said, I want the first pick. So we're going to give him the first pick. I'm going to do pick number 2, Ryan pick number 3, so on and so forth. And I should probably switch that to just 1 round. And then we're going
I
to
guess we should
do,
establish at the top. Are we doing what we think they are going to do, or are we doing our own? Just we want to talk about who we want to talk about. I would put this player here. Which are the two options?
I think there's a line. I think there are certain teams that I think like, yeah, they're taking this player. And like, I think it's like almost kind of lame if I don't take that. Like, it may seem lame to just take them, but at the same time, I'd rather take them and be correct because like all signs point to that. Like if
All right,
if
yeah, no, I
Ryland's
get
not
that.
going to take Mendoza
We're going
first,
for
then
accuracy, is what I'm hearing, and by accuracy, that means we're hoping we get maybe 5 to 7 of these bad boys right,
yep,
and we got a freebie.
That'd be a
we
great
have
hit
one.
rate. Yeah.
We have one. So we're going to go ahead and start the draft. Ryland, who do you want to take here?
All right, so shocker. Yeah, we're going Fernando Mendoza. I don't think we need to waste too much time talking about why on this one, but yeah, the lights were not too bright in my trust the board debut here, so chalk pick.
Nailed it. Nailed it. I think you're going to be the first one to have a correct pick.
I I think so too. So the Jets are really interesting. I don't know if you saw this, guys. They were going to have a top 30 visit with David Bailey, and the odds say, yeah, they're going to take David Bailey. It's kind of flipped from Arvell Reese to David Bailey over the last week or so, and they canceled his top 30 visit. I don't know why. I don't know the reasoning. There has to be a reason, right? Maybe it's just the Jets being the Jets.
You, I mean, if we're going to wear our tinfoil hats for a second, there's a lot of chatter about teams in the top 10 wanting to trade back, and I feel like it would be expensive to jump up to 2, but I don't know if, like, I feel like you lose leverage the further you go down unless a team really has this very specific player. Because, like, at least at the Jets at number 2, it's like, okay, you get your pick, you get the pseudo. Like, if we just assume Mendoza has been off the board and the Raiders' first pick doesn't even like count as like the draft because it's so certain, you get essentially the pseudo first pick of everyone else, right? So, like, if there's a team that is eyeing towards 2027 at at a GM and ownership level, maybe more so than at the head coach level, why wouldn't you trade back, see if you can sneak some assets for next year, even if it's like the higher picks are this year and you end up getting more like a day 2 pick next year. Like, that's still ammo for your war chest. So I don't know. The Jets feel like a team that, like, if we're wearing our, like, well, why didn't they bring him in? Well, maybe it's because they're so certain and they've already had meetings with him at the other events. So it would just be like, why waste his time? Or maybe they're really talking about trading back, getting out of the spot.
I think that's possible. I'd be interested to see who the team is that goes up to 2 if they do decide to trade, because there's not one that really jumps out to me, I guess. Maybe like, I don't know. It's hard to say. It really is. But I'm going, if I woke up this morning, I was like, yeah, the Jets are taking David Bailey at 2. I'm not going to let them canceling that top 30 prevent me from taking David Bailey number 2.
All right. I mean, this is where it gets interesting because this is another team where it feels like the entire process. Francis Mauigoa, chalk it up. That's the pick. And within the last like 2.5 weeks, there's talk of, well, now he's got this back issue. Is he even really a tackle? If he's like a tweener and is more of a guard, do you really want to spend that high a pick there? Also, they recently drafted Paris Johnson, so like they've already invested. Like, I'm hearing those chatters. So it's like, but do they really want Arville Reese because they've done the tweener on defense experiment twice and it's burned both times? So would they make this? Would they have the same like whiplash with that? So I don't know. I think I'm still gonna stick. I mean, new coach there. Nah,
It's tough.
we're gonna chalk it up. We're gonna have them. I gotta stick Arville Reese here. I just feel like there's been a lot of negging of Arville Reese in the last like week and a half that feels intentional, and I just feel like there's still gonna be a team that's like, this guy was a first year edge, didn't really know what he was doing, and was like whooping up on like Texas in week 1. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think, like, and at worst case scenario, okay, you get a linebacker. I just think there's going to be enough teams that are like, see the potential. And with Arizona, it might be Mount, maybe Mount, and I end up regretting that pick. But I just think it's a hard sell to me. So I think they go with Reese.
I like that. I think Reese is overall a better prospect than Bailey. Personally, I would take him at 2, but the New York Jets.
Yeah,
Ryland.
Bailey, it's so interesting that he's the one that solidified as like the Jets guy. I guess he fits like the types of edges they've had in the past. But I don't know. I just think he's going to be Brian Arakpo, which is a good player. I just don't see it as like a top 10 pick.
Yeah. Moving on to the Titans here at number 4. I don't like this board too much for them, to be honest. It's like, okay, you need a running back, but do you want to take a do you like as good as Jeremiah Love is, like do you want to take him top 5? As good as Sonny Styles is and you need an inside linebacker, do you want to take an inside linebacker top 5? Like man, this is not great.
And then
Like
what if Cardinal
Bain,
Tate's just like a good number 2?
Yep.
yeah, like oh man, this draft class is it has its strengths. I feel like getting a really good like top 10 player at a high value position is not one of those strengths. Um, like honestly, part of me almost feels like tackle like is a sleeper pick here, just because like you got Dan Moore, he's not like a long term solution. You can get a year ahead of that and get Muaga, who's right there. Man, this is I don't like
He's
this.
the
I'm
right
sorry.
tackle though. He's the right tackle if you don't love the switching of sides. So like, and I don't think you're moving
Yeah.
JC Latham over to left tackle either. So,
Oh gosh, no.
that complicates
Yeah.
it too. It's theoretical top guy. And if you're a Fano guy and he's your top lineman, like some people are, he's also a right side guy. So like, if you're worried about switching sides, that's a thing that's got to weigh on your brain too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just so I don't spend too long just hemming and hawing up here, I think I'll stick with Jeremiah Love, who's been getting a lot of traction there lately. I think I don't love this pick, but I think if you're the Titans, you're like, just get Cam Ward, somebody else on offense who can help you out. Again, I don't personally like this roster strategy, but I understand why the hype is there for Love to Tennessee, and that's what we'll stick with there.
I've always thought it would be so funny, the idea of Ruben Bain being on the board. Like, that just seems like a Saleh guy. Like, I just I don't know how Robert Saleh is going to be in that war room and not like beat the hell out of somebody to get his hands on Ruben Bain. But I feel like it's going to be Jeremiah Love. They're the Jeremiah Love team. They have to be. Yeah. So with the Giants at 5, man, there's so many ways I could go with this. Oh my goodness.
While
Because Bain,
you're buying time, I do think there's a world where Jeremiah Love ends up in like Dallas because all the defenders they would want are off the board.
completely fair. I could see that happening. They would be the team that would take Jeremiah Love despite extending Javonte Williams. That would make sense. You know, this is the Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs debate, I think, in my opinion. I've seen some mocks where like Carnell Tate goes here. They're going to be picking between one of the Buckeyes, and I think they're going to go Styles. I think that makes sense. You're going to get a really good player right in the middle of your defense who is literally create a player in a lab. I know everybody says that like that's a generalization, but Sonny Styles is the definition of make a player in a lab. He can do just about anything you want him to do. He's still seems like a fairly raw prospect in the idea of he still has so much room to grow and develop. And it's going to be a good coaching staff there in New York with Harbaugh bringing all of his guys over. It's going to be a fun team next year. I'll take Styles if I won't think too much about it.
All right. Yeah, Harbaugh's going to be interesting. I feel like you nailed it, Joey. It just feels like both Downs and Styles are like the classic like Harbaugh type of guy that he wants to anchor his defense and make that his like spine of his new tenure there. So like I totally see that. Browns are interesting because they could do the easy like let's just get the kid from Columbus over here, get Carnell Tate in here, and we'll have our wide receiver. But honestly, that's what I think. Like, it's the question is the classic. Like, they also have a later first round pick of like, would you rather go the tackle early or the wide receiver when you need both? We've seen teams like have this dilemma almost every draft the last few years of like, ooh, we like the Bengals famously. Do you take Jamar Chase or do you take Penny Sewell and then try to dip elsewhere? You could argue they made the right pick because there was no wide receiver in the second that was very good that year. But they also didn't really nail their O-line pick. So it's kind of like, but I feel like for me, when I look at the board here, I think this is where you go, all right, give me Carnell Tate. And I actually like a lot of the tackles that I hope are going to fall to the early 20s when I'm picking again. Because there's enough guys in there that I think like I'm more confident in them than I am actually in Maui Noah. And Lomu, who might actually be a guard at this high in the draft. So I think chalk it up, put in Tate. We'll hope we get a good quality offensive lineman in the last part of this first round.
I think that's fair. If the Browns are on the clock in this scenario and Maui Go is still on the board, man, it's going to be so tough.
But
yeah, but I mean, Carnell Tate is, he's one of those, like, he might not be like a superstar wide receiver ever. I don't quite see that ceiling with him, but like, there really isn't one thing that he does poorly. Like, if you just need a good player, just like elevate an offense, like he can play any position. Like, I don't know. I had a hard time when I watched him, like how high I could be on him, but it's just so hard to find like weaknesses in his game. Like, I get why he's wide receiver one.
Yeah, he's never going to give you a C- day. He's always going to give you like a B day.
Yeah.
And like on some days it'll be an A day. So
yeah, like playing next to Jeremiah Smith, like of course he doesn't look as big as fast. Like who would?
right, and before that Marvin
so-
Harrison, and before that Abuka and
gosh.
JSN. So like it's an institution over there with wide receiver.
So now let's
And
see, Washington at pick 7 here. I think it's got to be Ruben Bain here. I don't want to let him fall too much further. I think just getting a really quality edge rusher in there, short arms and all. I don't know. I think it's a good pick for them there. Just get good players if you're Washington. And funny enough, this is another Jeremiah Love team, but obviously he's off the board already. So Bain just makes a lot of sense to me.
yeah, I like it. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I can't believe that there are still Commanders fans that talk about him. I don't know if any of you guys are
Hey,
Bill believers.
Hard on Bill. He's all right. He's not a superstar, but he's all right.
He's there. He is certainly there.
He certainly is a player. But I don't know. I think he's not terrible.
And the Saints at 8 right here. Man, Maui is sitting on the board. The Saints just don't really need a tackle is the thing. I feel like where could I go here? They could go Delane and bring in the LSU guy. Caleb Downs is there. I don't know that anybody is going to jump out to me for them particularly.
I mean, they did lose a corner, so corner makes sense, whether that's Delane or somebody else.
I think Delane is going to go ahead of Jermod McCoy. If that's who you're referring to. I think that's going to happen. Although I think McCoy's recouped some of his stock. I feel like it was pretty kind of just like, I don't know where this guy's going to go. He's a first round talent, but like, I don't know where he's going to go. I feel like he's going to go probably even before the Steelers pick. But I feel I'm going to go Delane here. They're going to bring the hometown guy home, keep him in the Bayou. You get a lockdown corner, best corner in the draft at 8 right there. It's a good value for the Saints. It's a position of need. I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah, and if you're the Chiefs here, I think you're a little upset because I think you were really hoping one of those edge rushers or perhaps a linebacker, I don't know, or Carnell Tate were going to fall here. This is where it gets interesting because it's like if they are a team that feels like Jordan Tyson is worth the risk, I could totally see them taking that pick. But I do think that that's kind of tough when you're at 9. They need defensive back. They don't traditionally go defensive back high because they have so much trust in their ability to find guys in like day 2 and 3 and develop them. So, but I think if you're the Chiefs here, like why get cute with needs when Caleb Downs is still sitting there and all the guys that would have been need fits that would have been elite players got taken. So I don't know. I think this feels a little off the wall. And I think if you're the Bengals, you're like irate if this happens. But if you're the Chiefs, like what else? Like, I guess you could take one of these tackles. Maybe you take like a Fano and like see if you can kick him in. But I don't know. I just see Caleb Downs as the best player on the board here. And they lost a bunch of secondary. So why wouldn't you want that to give Spags to play with? Like he can do more with less, but why not give him like a dynamic type of defensive back they probably haven't had since the like Honey Badger days.
I know no matter what that this is going to happen with the Chiefs, where no matter who they get, we're going to be like, holy shit, why do the Chiefs have the 9th overall pick? How did we let this happen? No matter what, like if they get Caleb Downs, I don't even know what to say.
I'm at least a little happy if that happens because that means he doesn't go to the Bengals.
That is true. That would be nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to play against him twice a year for the foreseeable future.
No, yeah, I think here with the Bengals on the clock, this is a good team to stop the Francis Muaga fall, I would think. Just keep Joe Burrow alive, I think, should kind of be their mantra going forward. So, yeah, that's probably who I'd go with.
I like it. And then the Miami Dolphins are on the clock, and they have absolutely nobody to catch the football. They went out and signed Malik Willis. And
remember, these are Packers guys, though. Please remember, these are Packers guys.
These are Packers guys. They don't like to
Packers
draft
guys.
receivers.
They don't draft wide receivers high. What do they love? Meat and potatoes. They love the line, baby, and there's some good linemen still on the board.
I know that. Well, you're pushing me in a different direction. I think they have to go wide receiver at 11 here.
Do they? I legitimately
think they have to.
Sacrificing Malik Willis to the Wolves, and I think they want to build up the line for the future quarterback. But that's just me. You do you. But I'm just staking my claim as like that's what I think the Dolphins are thinking.
I would like to think that they signed Malik Willis with the intention of, hey, maybe just maybe we're getting a potential long-term answer for a pretty reasonable deal. I think the Willis deal was a lot more reasonable than people thought. He's not getting $30 million a year like I think a lot of people projected. I don't know. It feels like he followed all the Packer guys down to Miami. The connection was there. I don't think they're going to throw him out to the Wolves. I don't think they would do that.
Wanted to support Boy Scout Malik Willis. Why did they trade away Jalen Waddle?
I think they got a haul for Jalen
right now,
Waddle.
Malik Washington.
They got a haul for Jalen Waddle. They got a first, a third, and a fourth for Jalen Waddle. I think that's pretty fair.
It's a good haul. It just seems to me of a team that's ripping down the studs, you know? Good luck, Malik.
Good luck, Malik. I'm going to stick to my guns. They're going to get him the best receiver in the draft, in my opinion. They're going to get Mekhi Lemon, and this is going to be a really fun connection. This is somebody who the Dolphins are going to have to feed targets, and Mekhi Lemon can run just about any route you need him to, over the middle of the field, underneath, go ball. It doesn't matter. Phenomenal at the catch point despite his size. I love Mekhi Lemon. To get him here at 11, you're jumping for joy if you are the Dolphins.
There for sure as a blocker. Not necessarily got the size to always be great at it, but he is like a little scrappy guy. So I don't know. They don't have anybody over 6 foot there still, I think. But I could see it. It's not too crazy. I think if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're one of the more well, actually, no, it didn't work out that way for us. I think you take a moment here because one of the guys is actually still on the board. I think you take a moment here and you really have a serious debate about McCoy and Thieneman. And I think Dallas, the tricky part here is like they did just draft a corner that had like major knee reconstruction last year high, but I still think that they're going to be one of the teams that's just like, we need this so badly. And if he hits really well. So this is where McCoy goes. I think he's like the last guy on their like
Oregon State
quarterback
legend
wish list for the first round, and Oregon State legend.
Let's go.
Yeah. McCoy, did he actually? I haven't really done a whole lot on McCoy just because for the longest time it's like we know he's good from 2024. But did he start out at Oregon State?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He was part of that great team that got broken apart so horribly, but yeah, he was a heck of a quarter here.
Full circle moment here.
Yeah. Just salt and wound. All right. Yeah, so sorry, Rams buddy. On the clock. Yeah, no, it's okay. Rams are interesting. They've kind of been the like Mekhi Lemon team as of late, who's obviously off the board now. Part of me is, and you guys might have to talk me out of this, this feels like a sneaky Kenyon Sadiq team to me, um, who I'm not like the highest on, but like I don't know, like giving Sean McVay like just a super athletic pass catching tight end like that, I think makes a lot of sense. It kind of fits that wide receiver theme, even though obviously Tate and Lemon are off the board. Um, that's probably who I'd go with
Gives them like
here.
an interesting group for sure.
Yeah,
They did take Terrence Ferguson, also an Oregon tight end last year. I think they do like him a lot. I do think Coley Parkinson is probably like a flash in the pan last year, and he's on a short deal. So like theoretically, they could bring Sadiq in and have two just like super dynamic, like potential got yards after the catch guys at tight end. And Sadiq is not like a world class blocker, but like the want to is there. So he's like not as like nothing burger as a blocker as like the kid from Vanderbilt. So like, you know,
yeah. No,
Stowers. I just think like, yeah, I could see it. I could see it. This screams tackle to me, but like I wouldn't think you're crazy but if they did that because I could see them being like, let's just double down on the 12 and 13 personnel.
That's what I was gonna say is like they have that personnel that they run where they used four different tight ends last year. So it wouldn't be shocking if they went out and got Sadiq. He'd immediately become their best tight end, their best receiving threat is a tight end. This is like pick 13. The Rams having the 13th pick. I know I said that like I'm gonna be pissed off no matter who the Chiefs get at 9. This to me, I've been calling it the fuck you pick of the draft because the Rams already have probably the best roster in the NFL. If not, it's one of the best rosters in the NFL. And they have Sean McVay at head coach, and they have the 13th pick. They have everything going their way right now. So really, whatever they want to do, it doesn't matter. Like if no matter what they did, I'm gonna be like, yep,
yeah. I
makes
mean,
sense.
for that same reason, like I could see taking a flyer on Freeling here because like the potential's through the roof, and if it doesn't work out, like oh well, like you're still the Rams. But I don't know. I've kind of talked myself into taking a tight end here, so let's let's roll with it.
I like it. All right.
We all know this pick. We all know what it is.
And I'm back on the clock with the Baltimore Ravens. This is unfortunately Vegayon. It just is. Ryan and I have been preaching for a long time on this podcast that whoever you want the Steelers to get, the Ravens are actually going to get them at 14. So it just makes so much sense. I don't even. That's all I have. That's all I have.
He just screams AFC North player, and it's exactly what the Ravens need. We're right in that zone of like it's either him or Thieneman. Maybe is the best player on the board. Maybe Fano if you're more in his camp. It's just yeah. So that brings us to the Bucks, which I think are another super interesting team. I think they're a team that a lot of people would have chalked down and said this is a potential Sadiq landing spot. Um, they desperately feel like they need a linebacker, but I don't know that you would want to go CJ Allen quite this early. So I am going to this. They also really want an edge. So I'm kind of between two minds here. I feel like this is either going to be Spencer Fano and they kick him in at guard, or this is going to be. I just feel like they feel like a team that is going to want either like. I guess it comes down to Jason Lick. Does he bail out Todd Bowles and give him the play now player and Messidor as an edge, or would he go like, let's just get Keldrick Falk and know that he's going to be good, and I don't really, my job's not threatened as much as Todd Bowles is.
They've always kind of screamed Falk team to me. I feel like they like
Right.
those kind of.
Right.
I don't know. Like I think of when they took Joe Tryon Shinoka a couple years
Right.
ago in the first round, and there were a lot of people who were like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
I mean, that
They
didn't really work out.
No, it
But
didn't
is
at
that,
all. But they're a team that likes to take swings on guys like Falk who are very hot button topics. I feel
and
like.
he's one of the youngest players in the draft. He's got the measurables. He's already a plus run defender. It's all about is he going to be able to add enough to his pass rush to justify being a first round pick. And I know fans like to forget the defending the run part. They only want to see the sacks and the turnovers. But yeah, screw it. I'm gonna go Fano actually. I just think that
Oh,
he's probably the best player on the board. You kick him into guard, and I think if you're looking at a Baker Mayfield team where he lost weapons this offseason, maybe you want to focus on keeping him upright a little more just so that he can like try to overcome some of their losses on firepower.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Looking at the Jets here, I think so. We went David Bailey, right, for their first pick.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, David Bailey at 2.
Yeah, so like edge is good. I feel like this is a Jordan Tyson landing spot right here. Get a running mate to Garrett Wilson. Steeler fans are just screaming at us right now. But I mean, like, when you think of the Jets, it's like a team that needs a lot of help. Like they don't need like an offensive tackle. They don't need a guard. Like when you look at this board, I think Tyson's the best value there at a spot where they could actually use the help.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I would be very upset if Tyson makes it this far down and then the Jets are the team that snags him. But that is the way the cookie's going to crumble here. So looking at the Lions at 17, I think unless anybody really jumps out to me last second, I think this is where Monroe Freeling, his slide stops. I have been seeing a lot of talk about him, particularly at the combine. A lot of people over at Dogs by Nature, Brown's SB Nation site, they were saying, Freeling at number 6 is not out of the question. They thought that was a very possible thing. I don't think it's out of the question now, but I think Freeling going in the top half of the first round is pretty likely. If he makes it to the Lions right there, that's a home run for them. I really like that.
Yeah. I'm going to go pretty chalk here with Minnesota. He's been linked to them the whole process. It's not just because they're both white defensive backs. I actually don't think he's a very good comparison for Harrison Smith. They play different roles. But I just think Dylan Thieneman, you basically, if you're Minnesota and you're like, we need a safety, it's between do we want the post safety who's got incredible athletic testing, dynamic range, solid against the run, or do we want a more better towards the line of scrimmage guy who has enough range to play free safety and you need him to, and McNeil Warren? And I just think they want the guy who's going to be able to run sideline to sideline 30 yards downfield, and they take Thieneman.
That makes a lot of sense. Carolina here is weird. I was going to go Thieneman there, but
yeah, they are. They're one of my nominations for most interesting picks of the first round.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they still do need a safety, so part of me is thinking McNeil Warren here. Man, who else is on this board? I'm open to ideas here.
Yeah, this is while you're well, I was gonna vamp for you while you look over your options, but to me, if he doesn't get picked earlier, to me this is a really interesting Sadiq spot.
That as well.
But he's
like
already off
that.
the board.
Yeah.
So so I don't think there's another tight end really worth going here. Maybe they go wide receiver here. I mean, I think that with Jalen Coker, obviously Ted McMillan hit first year. He's your big X that you can also kind of move in the slot sometimes. So they could go wide receiver here. That wouldn't shock me. I don't think there's like a center you would really want to go in here. The only defensive tackle that I think maybe you would throw in here, because they already have like a pretty big like nose tackle, right?
Yeah.
So like maybe if you think Peter Woods is worth it, maybe if you think I could see K McDonald, but I don't know. And tight end, this is not a tight end here. So could they be a team that's like, screw it, we have a edge or corner we really like, and even though it's not a need, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll stick with McNeil Warren here. I think he's a good kind of do-it-all safety that they can use in a lot of different spots. Just not, a great board to break here if you're Carolina, I would say.
May someone, oh man, I'm picking for the Steelers, aren't I? Dang, you took my guy.
This
that would have been for sure.
This is becoming like ultimate disaster scenario for the Steelers at 21. I can't lie. This is
this is awful.
I don't know about if I agree with that. I'm actually stoked if we see what Dallas does here, because they took who we had them take. We had them take McCoy, right? Or did they take?
Yes, they took McCoy.
So they took their corner.
They need defense. And I think they're the CJ Allen team.
I relate to him.
I think that makes sense. There's been a weird narrative going around the last couple weeks that CJ Allen isn't a good athlete, and then he ran like a 4.45, I want to say, or something like that at his pro day. I don't know. Dane Brugler's a beast. One of my big takeaways from that, we've been a very pro Jacob Rodriguez podcast. Brugler has Rodriguez straight up over Allen, like straight up prefers him. But there's a big difference between what draft analysts think and scouts, of course, NFL teams. Just get defense if you're Dallas. Literally any warm body that can play defense, you're taking them. And our brave Pittsburgh Steelers around the clock.
All right. Well, we know that they like taking guys who have made 30 visits. So I think if we're looking at our board, that writes a lot of guys off. I know some people have thrown Blake Miller as a potential sneaky tackle. I personally would take Max Ienikour out of Arizona State here. I would think that would be great. Denzel Boston's there, but to me, you took EMW from me. So of their first round visits, I feel like that just sets us up then for Chris Johnson here.
It is
Chris Johnson.
I do like it.
Any part of the Steelers, I like it. I just don't. That won't get a very good reaction out of the crowd in Pittsburgh.
One where the fans, I think, initially are upset, and then in like 3-4 years, everyone will have a story about how they knew he was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I just think that's the way it goes. Like everybody, like I don't know. I've had a few back and forths with fans on Behind the Steel Curtain. I always love the debate because, like, you know, in the end, we all are guessing here. We have our opinions, and sometimes those opinions are right. But football is a mysterious game that sometimes loves to like blow up in your face when you think you have it figured out. And I just feel like I'm open to the idea of being wrong, but he just seems so awesome. He just moves so differently than almost any cornerback here. He plays just as well in off coverage as he does in press. He's got the whole package. He actually catches the ball when you throw it at him. I think it was like he allowed like a passer rating of like under 20 or something this year. It was just absurd. And I don't know, because like who else is still on the board that was a first round visit? We brought in
got Denzel Boston,
right? And then like, is there anybody else that's left that was a possible first rounder, or at least on the way we've drafted? I feel like I'm missing somebody big here. I know people say Casey Concepcion. He didn't get the visit.
Did they bring in Lomu? I feel like they did.
They didn't bring in Lomu. They brought in Fano.
That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, my bad.
And so he would be like a possible guard I could see, but they didn't bring him in. So I just look at who they brought in, and I don't think there's anybody left other than those two. And if you're telling me, okay, do they want to take the corner they brought in, or do they want to take Denzel Boston, or would they rather take the corner and then maybe get like a Jeremy Bernard in round 2?
They're so weird because they literally brought in, I think, 5 potential top or first round picks for top 30 visits. It makes no sense. I get that they have 12 picks and a lot of them are after round 1, but I thought the way they did the top 30 visits are very weird. I think it's very weird the way they did it this year.
I have them circled as a huge, like, if there's a team that wants to move back in the mid part of the rounds, the fans, again, they're not going to love that. Everyone wants to get the best player and they want to go make the splashy pick. But I just feel like, yes, the extra picks can let them move around the board. But I think Omar disagrees with the notion of like 12 picks would be a waste because what about the roster? I think the roster is due to get flushed, everybody. So like there's a lot of guys that are like in depth positions right now that I don't think are irreplaceable.
Yeah, no,
so just draft the best players, do what the Rams have done, where it's like, all right, we're just going to load up on day 2 and day 3 picks. Not all of these are going to hit, and that's okay because we're getting enough bites at the apple that we're going to have some that do.
Yeah, no, I wrote an article for BTSC a few weeks ago where I just like broke down the roster of like who like actually has a good chance of making the final 53. It's way less than I think most people realize. Like the Steelers have a surprisingly, like not like worryingly so, but like it's a shallow roster. And like if they make all 12 picks, like yeah, some seventh rounders are going to end up on the practice squad, big deal. But like everyone's talking about wasted picks. Like I don't think that's an issue at all. Like they can comfortably make all 12 and nothing
especially if
matters.
like the exactly, especially if the cluster of picks are those day 2 picks where you constantly find starters. We got 4 picks right now in day 2 where you could very reasonably find 4 long-term starters even if they don't start this year. You want to do that so that you can get one high-risk receiver that might blow up as soon as he hits the field a little bit earlier, or a very like slot-dependent undersized guy for a coach that's traditionally had big receivers everywhere he's gone. I don't see it.
Yeah.
I think we're making a lot of picks, folks.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to Ryland.
Chargers. Yeah. Another kind of interesting team to draft for. Part of me was thinking Keldrick Falk here, but then I thought about who's on the board, and I don't know how interested the Chargers are in this player, but give me Denzel Boston. I think that would be a fun addition to that wide receiver room because I was thinking out the wide receivers who are left. Like, the Chargers have Lad McConkey already, who profiles kind of similarly to Casey Concepcion, who I do like a lot. But like Justin Herbert just kind of needs a jump ball guy who can just catch the football when Justin Herbert throws it. And Denzel Boston, I'm not super high on him, but like he can reliably make those jump ball catches downfield. The Chargers haven't really had that for a while, and that's been a missing piece of their offense. So again, I don't know how common that pick is for LA, but I kind of like it now that I think about it.
I like it. It makes sense. Right now they have Quentin Johnston going up for those jump balls. Not a Quentin Johnston
Trey
guy.
Harris too. They got
Personally,
Trey Harris.
I forgot about
Trey Harris.
Yeah, year 2 breakout incoming for Trey Harris per Ryan.
Maybe like clip it, folks. Clip it. It could be. I liked him last year coming out, so there's always a chance.
So the Eagles at 23. Man, I mean, Keldrick Falk and Akeem Mesidor still being on the board. I think both of those make a lot of sense. I went into this when I was like looking like, oh, I'm going to have the Eagles. I thought I was going to take Omar Cooper or Denzel Boston and be like, yeah, they're probably going to take one of these because they're going to end up trading A.J. Brown. I do think that's going to happen eventually, but I think in this scenario, and I still think this is very possible, though if the way the board falls is there's Mesidor and Falk still on the board, I could see the Eagles doing what they've done for years and years now and continue to load up in the trenches, edge rushers, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, doesn't matter. I think Falk is the one that they would choose because I don't think the edge rusher is like a glaring need for Philadelphia, but for them to spend a first rounder on someone who's not even 21 years old yet and has a lot of tools and he's going to take time to develop, that fits the timeline of a team like Philadelphia. So I feel comfortable taking Falk in this scenario. And if he's on the board at 23, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they took him.
Yeah, if I'm Cleveland, you're also excited here because like I feel like Philly is the one that I would circle as a also possible place to start the tackle run. We've kind of been restrained on it, and we're hitting a little segment here where I think we could get a lot of tackles between now and the end of the first round. And if you're Cleveland, you get here with honestly a lot of options depending on what you want to do. There's Caden Proctor if you're looking for more power and you think he can actually stick on the outside. You've got Max Ienakor, who my draft crush this year. When Joey and I were at the Senior Bowl, I sent him to the Rams at 13. That's how much I love him. So like, I just feel like I've been banging that drum all draft cycle, and they are an analytical team, which is why I feel like maybe they don't love Blake Miller and maybe they don't love Caden Proctor. Blake Miller is like solid. He's, I think, a very good player, but he's not necessarily a power profile, and he doesn't have a lot of the like crazy unique measurables. So as much as I hate it, I'm going to send my boy here. I'm going to send him to the Browns, who desperately need offensive line help. They took the gamble early in our draft, I think, with sending Carnell Tate and hoping that one of these tackle options would be here. That gamble has paid off. Arizona State, Max Ienakor.
So
going to Cleveland. I'm sorry, buddy.
The Browns get Ianacor and the Ravens get Vega. This sounds like a lot of fun for Ryan Parrish on draft night.
It's my own personal hell right now.
All right, looking at Chicago here. I don't know. This feels like one of those teams that would just like keep drafting offensive playmakers, and everyone's like, you don't need them. But I don't think I'll go wide receiver here. Like they
They did get rid of DJ Moore.
They did. I mean,
but they love Burton.
Yeah, and they got Romo Dunze, they got Colston Loveland. Like I don't know. I don't see that as a position of need, even though like Omar Cooper would be kind of awesome here. It'd be so cool. Johnson. I know.
That'd be awesome.
if we were playing Madden,
that would
yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah. Like I feel like offensive tackle, like they could use somebody, but like Blake Miller's kind of a right tackle. Caden Proctor's on the left, but I'm not super high on Caden Proctor.
Are you about to give us a Cade McDonald pick?
I wouldn't hate it there, honestly.
I feel like you're. I see. That's how you. I feel like that's how you're gearing up.
Yeah, I'm like slowly talking myself into like
McDonald.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, who else is there? I don't know how to feel about Caleb Banks, to be honest.
McDonald.
I just feel like the foot's too scary for a guy who was already more flash than production. Add that onto it, that bumps him to the second for me.
That's valid.
But maybe they disagree.
It's probably too early, but I would love Lee Hunter on the Bears.
I love Lee Hunter so much.
Miller's another player that I think.
Dude, he was such a cool interview at the combine. He's such a good guy, and like he just wants to provide for his family. He literally every question that he was asked, he just like brought it all back to wanting to provide for his family and like support his brother who owns the trucking business. He is such a good down to earth guy and super intelligent. Like you can just tell when like someone is like emotionally intelligent. Lee Hunter is like that person. I'm such a huge fan of him. I don't know if he goes first round, but I'd be so happy if he went.
Right. He'd be fun. I was going to throw another, like, not really getting talked about guy, but I do feel like Christian Miller is another guy who might be one of those guys that, like, the NFL likes him more than the media does.
Yeah, and to go back to Lee Hunter, Ryan and I, when we did our
but the Bears
season blueprint earlier this year, we both had Lee Hunter as the Steelers' first-round pick, and then I pivoted just so we wouldn't, like, repeat each other. But we were both like very high on him early this year. I just think his combine was not good, and that kind of lowered the stock a little bit there.
Not great. And he is a little older.
Yeah.
So I think he'll probably be a second day guy.
Anyway, though, I will make a pick eventually. I'm just having a hard time making up my mind here. Yeah, it's kind of between Caden McDonald and like, do you go for like one of the edges who's still on the board? But I don't know how I feel about taking. Is it Messidor who's the top one who's available? I just don't know how I feel about taking him that early.
He's listed at the top. Like he's like 25. He's got the foot thing.
Yeah, I mean like Howell, Parker,
Cassius Howell. If you're into him,
I do like R. Mason Thomas, but that's too early as well. Yeah, we'll go Caden.
Is this a team that maybe? Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
That makes sense.
When in doubt, just get a big defensive lineman and everything will fall into place.
I like it. All right. So I'm on the clock with the Bills, and I don't know what the hell they are going to do. They have a lot of needs, but at the same time, I don't know that anything is jumping out to me upon first glance of the sport. It's getting to a weird time of the draft. There's no guard. Maybe they take one of the tackles and try to kick him inside.
Pregnon's in play. I think Pregnon's in play as early as
I didn't even know that he would. Well, I guess I should have known he was still on the board, but that is definitely a possibility. I think that makes sense.
And some teams really, really like Rutledge, and some teams really, really like Basante. So I feel like there are guards there potentially.
I have heard that Rutledge could go. He could sneak in night one. I think that would be a little wild. I think night 2 makes a lot more sense, but I think Pregnon, now that you say that, I really like that one. If they don't take him, if Buffalo doesn't take him, San Francisco is probably going to take him, or Houston's going to get him, or, Miami could take him as well. A lot of
Yeah.
teams are going to need him right there. Maybe the Bills try to get ahead of everybody and they pick Pregnon, solidify that offensive line a little bit more for Josh Allen.
All right, I'll keep this one quick. I think the 49ers pay the tackle tax here, and it's not the one that they wanted the most, but I do feel like Blake Miller would fit in a Shanahan system. So let's just throw him in there as the pick, and they hit the line where they could use help at the tackle and guard spots.
I was trying to throw you a lob and give you Omar Cooper. I think that would be a lot of fun, but
I
fair.
think it'd be fun too, but I do think they got to eat their medicine and fix the line because their line's so bad, and they've spent on like the Ricky Pearsalls recently.
Yeah, and then move into Houston here. I kind of want to go offensive line here because it's been such a mess for them for a while with poor CJ Stroud, man. Like he has the potential, but just can't get a throw off to save his life. Is this a good Caden Proctor team? Like I feel like,
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
do think
again.
so.
I'm not super
like
high
that.
on Caden Proctor.
like-
Like a lot of upside there. He can play tackle. He can play guard. Yeah.
I think you want to kick him inside, and I think that you got the Alabama connection there with the head coach. I think they just kind of mimic what Dallas did a couple years ago, where they took the Alabama guy everyone wanted to avoid, and it was awesome as a guard for them. So that makes sense to me.
All right. So I'm on the clock with Kansas City. I already gave them, or no, I didn't pick for them. I made the
We gave
pick
him Caleb
before.
Downs.
So they have Caleb Downs. They already won the draft. And they have another pick at 29. Oh boy.
I know what you want here.
This could be the Mesidor pick. I do want to pick Omar Cooper for them. That'd be awesome. That'd be so fun. I don't know. Would they do that though? I feel like they're still probably believers in Xavier Worthy. I don't feel like they would. I mean, they traded up for him. We're going on 2 years ago now. I don't believe in Xavier Worthy as far as being a consistent
I'm like,
wide receiver
there's no way
in the
that Rashee
NFL.
Rice is getting a second contract with Kansas City.
I don't know. They seem to like really support him there. I mean, they have the T-shirts.
Oh, gosh.
I guess it's the players, and you don't know if that's, but like I don't know. Kansas City overlooks a lot of stuff.
Everybody got to eat. You know what, dude? I want to take. You know what? Whatever. Everybody got to eat. Omar Cooper, he's got to eat too. The Chiefs, if they get out of the first round with Caleb Downs and Omar Cooper, God damn it, dude.
You gave Miami Makai Lemon, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Oh man, this is interesting. For me, looking at this board, you're probably thinking cornerback here, or you're thinking guard. And I feel like, why don't we make this the Colton Hood spot?
I like it. I was going to say, I think Hood's going a little bit under the radar. He got invited to the draft. There are 16 players that got invited to the draft. And I think there's something to be said about that. You don't want to like take it with a grain of salt, but there is a reason that he's being invited to the draft. The NFL views him as a likely first round pick, probably a late first right here. But yeah, I think that makes sense.
And then New England, pick 31. Also, not sure what to do here. Oh gosh. This draft is weird in that I feel like the bleed from the end of round 1 into the start of day 2 is like there's really no difference between a lot of these guys here.
Yes, I agree. This is where a team like, I don't know, the Steelers should go up and get Ty Simpson if they really like him. I don't think they like Ty Simpson. I don't think that they've shown enough interest in him to warrant me saying that and being like, yes, I think this is a distinct possibility. But I think this is the range where if a team really likes Ty Simpson, I think a team like the Jets makes a ton of sense, even though they already made 2 first-round picks. They have so much draft capital. they could come back up into the first round.
I would also posit, I feel like Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona makes a lot of sense
Only
too.
got to trade up a couple spots here. Give them your second. Give New England it's not a first round pick, but it's like 4 picks from now or something like that. 4 or 5 picks. So I could see that. Didn't really break well for them as far as tackle goes. I feel like if they really like Lomo is the last one here that might go. I don't know if that's
I like that.
I don't know if that's exactly what they want. I could see this being a Christian Miller or Peter Woods spot too. They need defensive line help.
Part of me's thinking edge too. Like Messidor, if you're New England and you're in your like Super Bowl window, so to speak, I mean, they were there last year. Like you can be okay with taking an older player there just because it maximizes that.
Or do they like a TJ Parker? I think that's going to be an interesting question. Messidor is another one where like it's going to be very interesting because like theoretically he can go now, but how scared are teams of like the age and the foot?
No, and even like wide receiver maybe, but I don't think there's anybody here who's really. If I was New England, who I would go for, like, yeah, they already have Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah, because I mean, isn't Concepcion kind of a lot of the like they have Dobbs, but I wouldn't say that stops them. But I feel like they've got a lot of like littler
exactly
guys. I don't know. Maybe Concepcion would be electric, but
no, let's go Messidor here. I actually kind of like that fit. I think again, if you're New England, you're like we can win a Super Bowl possibly in the next few years. We don't mind taking an older prospect if he's the best guy on the board, and it's Vrabel. So yeah,
I like that. I think that it is Vrabel. That's like a perfect fit. Any of those teams at the end of the first round that have an embarrassment of talent already, go out and get Messidor. I feel like that's a really good spot for him right there. And then I am on the board with Seattle at 32, and they can kind of do whatever the hell they want. Terrell,
I feel like DB or edge is like their big one because this is kind of a sweet spot for a lot of corners, and they lost some this off when they didn't sign them back after the free agency, and like not receiver, edge also because they let Mafe walk as well.
Zion Young is definitely interesting to me. TJ Parker, ooh, I feel like that makes a good bit of sense. I'm between Parker and Young, I guess. I feel like Edge is pretty good. Cassius Howell.
Pull up Young real quick and look at him too. I'm just curious about the size difference.
6'5".
They're about the same weight. Zion's a little longer, a little shorter. He's about half a year older.
Again, I feel like this is a team where, like, yeah, they have a need at edge, but it fits their kind of timeline, and they don't have to have him be incredibly productive in year one, even though, like, Parker or Young both could be. I'll take Parker off the board at 32 right there. And we have completed our first round mock draft. Beautiful job, guys. We'll get a recap of it right now, and I believe it gives us a grade at the bottom. Maybe it doesn't. Nope, it's not going to give us a grade. I'll give us an A because all of these picks are great. How many of these do you think we got right? Over, under 6.5.
Usually get anywhere from 5 to 6 on a good year, and on a bad year, like 4, maybe 3. So, like, I think we automatically at least get the one.
You're welcome.
I think that's pretty. That's chalk.
But like that top 10's a minefield. So like if you're going for accuracy, so and like there's gonna be teams that eventually trade, right? And that's gonna blow the whole thing up. So like, do you guys when that happens, when you make a mock draft and then trades eventually happen, are you more happy to put the player at the right pick or with the right team?
I think with the team makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like there have been players before where it's like you think they're gonna be like, for example, Saints are at 8, and then oh no, they trade back, and then they get the same guy you thought they would want just a little later.
So, well, that will get into our next mock draft. We're going to do a 7-round Steelers mock draft to
Go a little
close things
faster.
out on this episode. Yeah, we'll be a little bit quicker here. I guess as I'm getting this ready, we'll go in with the mentality of is it more like the Steelers trade up or trade down?
We
I
want to
guess.
do reverse
Sure.
order from the last draft.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do
Let's
that.
do it. All right. That means I get to pick the first round pick, so that'll be fun.
All right.
We're not
I'm
trading,
going
folks. We're staying
to
pat.
we're staying pat at 21. And we're gonna start the draft here. And I'm excited to see who's on the board at 21. And I know who he's taking. Okay.
Yeah, we're taking EMW here and we're getting out.
Where did Lemon of the Cowboys is interesting. Anyways, EMS at 21.
I'm so excited with that possibility. I think that's where I've settled, is like that would be my most hype. I know I might be alone in that, but he's so good.
I don't want to say it'd be alone. I wouldn't be exactly jumping for joy. At 53 here, I was going to take Jeremy Bernard. I feel like that's one there's been a lot of connections to recently. Jacob Rodriguez going to the Ravens. Nice. I mean, you have to be kidding me.
That would be so terrible.
That would be absolutely awful. I can't even put it into words. So the Steelers,
my boy Akis right before us.
I'm trying to look for top 30 visits they've brought in. Ooh. We have Stooks, who just came in for a visit today.
That would be the nickel.
Keelan Rutledge, come on down.
I also thought I saw.
I like Rutledge. I can't believe he's there.
Nice. That's nice.
His ADP 70. Are we going for accuracy? Because
I think here's the thing is, like, I don't think PFF's accuracy is right. I think these guards are gonna all be, like, I think the top 4 guards are all gonna be gone before picks. Like there's a chance very easily they're gone before we even get to 53.
So should I just not take him out of like pure this isn't gonna happen?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing is, like, it's a guard, so like, yes, there's definitely a world where people don't value guards, but it's a weird draft. And like, if like, say Pregnon goes to like the Chargers at 22, and then Miami's like, you know what, we're taking a guard with our second pick instead of whatever we did. You know, like there are teams that could theoretically be like, we need a guard. So like, I'm not saying it's impossible. And they did bring him in for a visit. But let's just like check off. Like, it's like him, and I saw Skylar Bell, and I just feel like Bernard's the pick, but he's gone. So
I know.
Consult Kyle Lewis feels like he's too rich here. You go to the top, it's like, you know.
Yeah, Bell's the top guy that they brought in.
I don't see him there. I think there's other guys that maybe they would just kind of swing at later then. But
I think Stooks makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be Stooks or it would be Rutledge for me here, I think.
Doubling up on DB would be interesting.
I'll go for...
I think the fan base would.
It would be so ugly in Pittsburgh.
But I think those are 2 very good. But I do think those are 2 very good players.
Them doubling up on defensive back, I think, is more likely than Rutledge falling to 53.
And McCarthy's done it before. Like, not to say that he's the all-being like pick, but there were Packers drafts where they did double up with their first 2 picks on defensive backs.
Okay.
What'd you end up doing? Did you do Stooks?
I did Stooks. And Igbenoson's on the board at 76. Oh, that sucks.
All right, go, Ryland.
I will say this is like my one worry with going DB like a lot super early. It's such a deep class. I feel like that's one where you can, like, you know, on even like early day 3, still get quality guys. But again, I wouldn't complain too much with those first 2 picks. Those are good players. I feel like you kind of have to go. Can I see like the guards and the wide receivers, please? Because I do feel like we have to get somewhat on track with those.
Yes, absolutely.
You can highlight both and have them both up, I think.
Let's go. Your offensive line. Can I do both at the same time?
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm thinking it might be Jalen Farmer right here.
I would love it. I don't know if they're actually interested in him, but I love.
Yeah, like he stands out to me at guard, and I think Ted Hurst is probably my favorite wide receiver here. But I feel like, is this too early for Ted Hurst? But I do feel like,
I don't know, man. I feel like I don't know. Like, again, I would say, like, if you think they're a third round player, I would care less about the ADP, because like PFF is like ballpark, but like every year there's we get shocked by players who we thought were going in a certain range and they go like a half round earlier.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Bo Stevens a recent
So I
top
would say
30
Foley.
visit? So he might make more sense
Yes.
in this
Yes, he
draft than
was.
Farmer, even though he would go a bit later. Wait, are we going like what we think the Steelers do, or what we would do, or somewhere in between?
True, but there isn't a top 30 visit either at wide receiver. Not that they exclusively do that. I just want to throw that out there. It's like
I
another part of
guess,
the
but to answer your question, I feel like we're kind of going, we're not necessarily like going against what the Steelers would do, because like Rutledge, I would take Rutledge if he's there at 53 over Stooks any day of the week. But I don't feel like Rutledge being there at 53 is super realistic, where I think Stooks being there is, I think that's possible.
Patriots pick, according to Schrager, right? So like I get that feeling. I also know that all the Steelers watching this right now are so pissed that the wide receiver situation is what we've let it become.
Yeah.
But I also want people to be ready for like maybe that happens in real life.
Yeah, I'll kick the wide receiver can down the road a bit longer and go Jalen Farmer here. I think that's the best pick, as much as I love Ted Hurst, and also like this front office is going to value a guard over a wide receiver.
And in this ADP, we're going to get him. Yeah. Take me to wide receiver, Joey. I will not edge our fans of any longer. Our Steelers fans will get our wide receiver options.
Oh boy, I see one, but we're gonna filter and we're gonna go.
We're gonna filter just to take the full take. I feel like it's Ted Hurst, or if they're not a Ted Hurst team, the only other guy that I'm seeing right here that I think makes any sense is Stribling, but I don't know if they have any interest in
Ted
either
Hurst
of those
was
guys.
a combine visit.
So we're gonna do what we would do here. Yeah, so I mean, it's like, they can't visit with everybody that they're interested. They aren't 100% top 30 visits across the whole draft. So there are going to be guys that they didn't get those 30 visits with that gets drafted. So why not make that Ted Hurst here? I mean, he's basically the non-power 5 George Pickens light style of player. He's a vertical threat. He's got some yak ability. He's got body contortions. He's similar size. He's not a 1-for-1 exactly, but I could see the Steelers talking themselves into that.
That would be a lot of fun. You know what else would be a lot of fun? We're at pick 99 here.
I know what you're doing here.
Let's get crazy. Let's get crazy. I mean, he's staring right at me. It's
Nussmeier.
Oh yeah, that's who I'm thinking of.
Peeking over the corner there.
I'll do you one better.
He's going.
We're taking Drew Aller at pick 99, and the streets of Pittsburgh are going to riot. The Drew Aller top 30 visit, it was a local visit, so it didn't count against the top 30. The discourse on Steelers Twitter was hilarious. The arguments of fans comparing Will Howard and Drew Aller to one another. We've lost the plot, ladies and gentlemen. The mere thought of Drew Aller getting drafted by the Steelers has infuriated so many people, and I love it. I love it.
There is an Aller camp. There is an Aller camp that exists. Like I've had my discussions.
I think
with
everyone.
those folks too.
Oh, sorry.
I have. If Aller declared last year, no, you're good. He probably would have been first round.
I was just gonna say, I think that all the fans who are mad at us for going DB in the first 2 picks are probably happy now that we got Aller. Like I think that makes up for it. Like the Aller to Pittsburgh crowd is so huge.
Is that what the intersection is? That's an interesting. We should make that an actual poll. Like, if you would be mad at the Steelers taking a DB in the first, would you also like Drew Aller later? And yes, no. That's a fascinating sociological question that I want answered.
When I did my prospect profile on Drew Aller and it got posted, the first time I looked at it, I think the thing spawned with 80 comments of just people going at it with each other. Dude, it was
mean to you on that one.
That's fine. I knew what I was getting myself into with doing the Drew Aller profile. There's going to be a Ty Simpson one, I think, coming out. So that one will be, they'll be meaning you on that one. So it's okay. We'll trade off.
Well, I'm not gonna pick Ty Simpson. I'm just gonna do a profile on him. But
okay, I think.
do we want to recap real quick what we have? What positions have we taken so far? Safety, corner, guard, receiver, QB.
This is when it kind of opens up. Yeah.
Wow, we're killing it, guys.
I think it just opened up. You can
yeah, no, Bud Clark is staring at me right here, but we really don't need a third DB. But that is a good player right there.
It'd be awesome, though.
I think Pittsburgh fans would be so upset if we took EMW and then
we're gonna draft as many safeties as we can.
And we took Stooks to play in the nickel. We also took Stooks is like a safety nickel hybrid. So people are like, well, how many safeties could you?
How serious can we play it before people think it's not a bit? But I'm looking at I'm kind of a fan of the Steelers doubling up at
a bit of a reach here, but
I'm kind of a fan of the Steelers doubling up at wide receiver early in the draft, and we see Ryan's guy Eric McAllister right there again. Not really a Steelers interest guy though, so I gotta.
The character concerns are going to get him off a lot of boards, and if he's like on day 3, it's going to be because of concerns of that. But man, if you just want to do like a pure adrenaline shot, go watch Eric McAllister's 2025 TCU tape. It's electric stuff.
Yeah, I like maybe Jacoby Lane. I wouldn't be mad at that here. Probably a good compliment for Ted Hurst there as well. Joey, can I see who the D linemen are here?
And we'll in on the height too.
D linemen, yep.
We would have like the biggest wide receiver core in the NFL if they took Jacoby Lane and Ted Hurst and added it to Pittman and
that'd be so fun. Yeah, I'm not in love with this defensive line board here.
It really gets early at defensive tackle. Like, it's one where if you are in the camp of like the Steelers really need one, you either need to be fine with a really just raw project guy very, very late, or you're pushing for them to pick one in round 2.
Screw it. Let's go Lane here. Let's get that next wide receiver. I feel like that is a very solid. What is this pick number? Whatever for us. It's a good start. That's what I mean. Yeah,
121. Yes.
So what is that? So like it's the first 4th round pick, and it's like we're all in on playing basketball here. All right, for me, just looking at that and what we've drafted so far, I feel like the intriguing options here to me are they moved Mason Reiger all the way up that high. He's fun as a little like spark plug. He's an older kind of prospect too, though. But I was initially looking at scroll back up. We had our Klein guy as a tight end. Like, they are going to draft a tight end this draft. It kind of is like, when are they going to do it? And they're probably going to be looking for more of a blocker than a, move tight end who's going to be receiving option, because that's kind of what you get with Pat. So I feel like Washington's going to come back and be a key part of the offense, but they let their other 2 guys go. So Klein is kind of screaming to me here, but if they want to maybe hedge on tackle and just have a guy that they can like develop and be a spot starter, then I also felt like Bowery was pretty interesting. So I'm going to just say this is where they take Marlon. They're going to take Marlon Klein here. This is where we're going to sneak a tight end pick in.
I like it. I think that was going to be what I did next, was like a tight end, because they're going to take one. I don't know when, and it is going to be probably more of a blocker than a receiving threat, because they obviously still have Freiermuth, and Washington, as good of a blocker he is, you want the ball in his hands. So I am back on the clock, and dude, Prysock is staring at me right in the face. That was like one of their first top 30 visits. But how many damn defensive backs do we need?
I mean, to be fair, we'd be covering all 3 levels, which I do think is firmly in play. Prysock isn't my favorite guy, but theoretically what we would have done is we would have checked the safety box, we would have checked our nickel box, with Stukes, and then this would be our outside corner box.
There isn't really anybody that is super intriguing to me.
Let's look at the corners just out of curiosity, because I feel like Pounds is maybe an option, is like maybe their tackle. Ooh, well, the guy that I absolutely love is
I like
right
Masses
there,
out
but
of Cal.
there hasn't been much connection so far. He's all right too. I was watching some of him earlier today.
Don't really think he's what Pittsburgh needs here, but so many good DBs.
It's just
It's a sweet spot for
it's a good DB
DBs,
draft,
unfortunately.
which is why the point you made earlier about maybe it is a good position to wait on makes sense if they like some other spots early.
You know what? We're gonna cover all three levels, and we're not touching any more defensive backs. This is the last one we're doing.
No more DBs.
No more. No more, I promise, guys.
Yeah, because that's going to be who the best players on the board are from here on out too. But
No, I know.
I get it.
I think we've learned that we should just maybe wait.
Ryan and I both know
the
exactly
legend
what I'm doing
at 219.
We're going BYU linebacker Jack Kelly.
Yeah. Also, for people yelling at us about Oscar Delp, yeah, I love Jack Kelly. Say that again.
Oh yeah, we're going Jack Kelly here out of BYU. I think he's a really great I've been a fan of Pittsburgh adding a linebacker. I think it's a really sneaky need for them, even with I don't know what they're doing re-signing so many people in that inside linebacker room this year, but I assume Malik Harrison will be a cut down the road probably. But Patrick Graham loves his sim pressures. I think inside linebacker who can pass rush is actually a really good scheme fit. And Jack Kelly has like insane sack numbers for an inside linebacker. So I think this is a perfect fit for Pittsburgh.
And you can move him outside.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Shorter arm, shorter guy, but he can rush the outside in a way that's really, really fun. Love that pick for us. For the people that are yelling at us, why aren't you taking Oscar Delp? I heard he's the tight end too. We're not doing that because there's no way he's going to be there at pick 200, I think, or even our last pick that we had. I think you're smoking something if you think he's still going to be on the board. So that's why we're avoiding him. Why don't you? Here's what I want. Positions I want you to click for me at this point, just so that we can. I want edge. I want linebacker. I want defensive interior. And pull up one more time. We already did tackle. We already did wide receivers. I feel like we're good on wide receivers. We're not doing DBs. We took our tight end. Just throw up wide receivers just so we have an idea of in case they really want to go crazy. And some of these guys might end up being like return guys too. But man, this is a gross part of the draft.
I do like Wetjen from Iowa. Insane return, man.
Oh, that's who I like right there. I don't know that he'll actually still be there, but we're going to get our D tackle and we're going to get Tyler Oyedem. I might be saying that name totally wrong, but we're going to get the Texas A&M guy. He is he's really fun. I think he's going to maybe go more like in the 5th or 6th, but if he's here for us, that's what I'm going to take here just to highlight him because he's a really good, like, you can play him at 3, you can play him at 5. He's just twitched up and I think flying a little under the radar.
My next pick was going to be James Thompson Jr., another defensive tackle from Illinois, top 30 visit of the Steelers. I like that fit.
Who do they actually like?
I don't know that they go double defensive lineman in the 7th round, although there are so many picks that I don't know that it matters all. It's really anybody's guess. Taylon Green is staring right at me. I don't think he's on the board at 230. He's staring at me he's right there.
You took Drew Aller, man. We can't have Drew Aller. We can't have a 3-way war between Drew Aller, Will Howard, and Taylon Green, man. The streets aren't ready for that.
Fine. You know what? We've taken so many damn tall receivers for the Steelers. Who's going to be their punt returner? Who's going to do it?
My guy's right there too.
Vinny Anthony, Senior Bowl legend. Louis Bond, Senior Bowl legend. And Vinny Anthony, they're listing him as 6 foot even after being up close with him at the Senior Bowl. I'm 5'10", like 5'11", all right. Vinny Anthony is not 6 foot, all right. I'll just put it that way. But he's twitchy, he's fast, he's a lot of fun. Go watch some Vinny Anthony returns if you really have that kind of time on your hands.
He's a player at the Senior Bowl where we kind of just looked at each other and we're like, he's not going to be a superstar receiver. But doesn't he just feel like a guy who's going to be around for like 8-10 years?
Yeah,
Mostly as a special teamer, and then maybe he sneaks in as your like 4th receiver role player.
Yep.
All right, this is what, last pick of the draft, I think.
So 237.
Pittsburgh.
You know, last pick.
Yeah.
Oh, Taylor Green, man.
Yeah.
He's right
We've
there.
shadow banned any defensive backs, even though there's a lot of guys.
And Cole Payton. And Cole Payton.
Yeah, I don't think these
so
quarterbacks
either.
are going to still be there. But
yeah, like of the 30 visits, like Thompson Jr., I don't think he'll be there either. Actually, wait. Let's Trost from Missouri there. Good player, I think. And we haven't picked too many offensive linemen, right? Can you go back to the picks that we've made?
We picked.
Yes,
did we pick Farmer? We picked Farmer.
One.
And then did we get a tackle?
Wow, that's it.
I kept meaning to go back and get a tackle, but we just kept going off these major teardrops where the guys were not. Because like I don't feel like at this point I think the Memphis guy that we brought in is going to be gone.
Let's go Trost. I've not like the most familiar with him, but the game or two that I've watched, I thought he looked pretty solid. Might slide inside, but beggars can't be choosers with offensive tackles in the 7th round. So, yeah. Let's see how PFF grades us.
Yeah, they're going to tell us James Dunker. I'm here to tell you no on that one.
Whatever.
James Dunker, no thank you.
Industry plant. Am I right?
Madeline Dunker. Like, he's a guy where it's like, if you get him, he's kind of like Tyler Booker with the Cowboys, where it's like, if you put him in the right system, he'll be great. But I don't think he's going to fly. Like, he's not going to be great in every system.
Don't look now. Look at the highest graded pick on our draft. Take a look.
Yeah.
99 overall.
Sometimes I just
Drew
feel
Aller.
like, PFF mock draft. It doesn't know ball. That's all.
That's fine. I disagree with. They gave us like a C for every single pick except for Drew Aller.
It's like and Keegan Trost, and it's like he's our second highest pick, greatest pick. But I just feel like it's kind of like when you do your fantasy draft, when you get those like email generated back with the AI grades, and they're like, "You got an A." Those are always the worst seasons. It's the seasons where they're like C, D, terrible draft that you actually make a run.
So, I guess what we learned from this draft is defensive backs, deep class, maybe doubling up on them is not a good idea. Not a good idea. Shouldn't have done that.
Maybe. I don't know. I still feel like if we come away and Ted Hurst and Jacoby Lane are our receivers, I'm honestly not mad at that at all.
I'm not mad at all.
And then throw in a Vinny Anthony, who will somehow end up being the best wide receiver out of all three. Like, I think it'll. I'm not. I know there's people that would hate this and would tell us we're idiots.
I would not be mad if this was the draft.
All right. I don't know that Steelers fans would agree with you, but
but you gotta have the vision. You gotta be thinking.
It's anybody's guess. It's anybody's guess. I really don't know what the Steelers are going to do first round. I guess what we'll close this out with as we wrap up here. Ryland, thank you for joining us. This was a lot of fun. You have an open invitation, of course, to come on anytime. If you had to put $1 million on it, who are the Steelers taking at 21? They stay at 21.
I did my predictive mock.
Whoever wants to start.
On I forget what day it was this week, but I was feeling Emmanuel McNeil Warren for the most likely. If I like had to choose, I'm not confident at all. With the Vega Ione top 30 visit, if he's there, I think he's the guy, but I just don't think he's there. So that's probably how I'd order it. Like if Ione is there, that's him, but he won't be. So I'll probably go make. Sorry, I can't talk. I'll go Warren from Toledo.
What about you, Joey?
I feel like of the most likely scenarios, McNeil Warren makes sense. And it's not that I would be upset with the pick because I think McNeil Warren's a phenomenal player. I just don't know where the hell they're going to put all of these safeties between Brisker and Deshaun Elliott and Ramsey, who I don't know what Ryland thinks, but I think Ryan and I agree that Ramsey, they're probably going to try to move him down to nickel at this point in his career. And I think that's fine, but I just don't know where they're going to put all of these guys. I really, really don't. That's where I kind of come away. I think the most likely option is McNeil Warren because I think it's a combination of he's going to be there. I agree with you that if Vegas there, they're going to run to the table and they're going to take him. And I think that would be a home run. I would love to see them take a receiver if one of them falls, but I think it's interesting. No Tyson top 30 visit. The only one they've done real homework on is Mekhi Lemon. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you, Steelers. He's the best receiver in the draft, but he's not going to be there at 21. So it's
Yeah,
probably going to be McNeil Warren.
I do wonder if Hines Ward is just as good as a top 30 visit, to them.
That's
in
true.
Their eyes. I do wonder that. I think if you're a Tyson Warner, I think that is maybe what you can cling to until the pick gets made. And if it does end up being him, I think that we all will have been shouting those narratives. They didn't need the 30 visit because they can trust Hines Ward's evaluation. We'll see if that happens. I think to echo you guys, I think not only if I think it's Ione or Fano, if either of them are on the board, and if both of them are on the board, I think it gets real interesting. But I just don't see either of those guys actually making it, with people saying they're the best guard and some people saying Fano's the best lineman in the whole first round. I think that's who they want, but sometimes you bring in what you want, hoping it'll get there, and it doesn't. So to me, I think it's McNeil Warren, and I think it's Chris Johnson if there's a crazy safety run, because I would be shocked if we get through the top 20 picks and 3 safeties are off the board. But I think that's who's going to be there and who checks the boxes.
So I guess we've come to a consensus. Thank you all for listening and watching. A longer episode for us, but it was a lot of fun. We covered a lot of ground. Draft is in a week. Super excited to see how it all falls. We'll have full breakdowns and everything for you over on Behind the Steel Curtain. You can get our written coverage of everything that goes down and what the Steelers do. And then we'll be right back here on this podcast to break everything down and talk about what it means for the Steelers and their future and NFL draft as a whole. We're 2027 content. We're basically already there. We're already preparing for the 2027 draft.
We got some fun ideas we're cooking up that I hope Ryland comes back for, but we'll call that a tease. I think we'll also be asking what the hell the Jets did. That seems likely. But yeah, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, please. It helps us get this thing off the ground. That's what we all want to do. We enjoy this stuff a lot. So any help you can give by doing just something simple like hitting that follow button, making sure these videos come to you instead of us having to hunt you down, it'd be great appreciated.
Perfect. All right. With all that being said, we love you guys, and we'll talk to you later.